Okay, guys, welcome to the Chosen One podcast show. If you landed on this podcast episode, you are probably a manifesting generator and a female entrepreneur, coach, or expert. So, welcome. Take a cup of tea and binge listen to all the amazing episodes I have set up for you. Episodes to help you create the right energy and mindset to create the manifesting generator business and life of your dreams. Here we go. Okay, loves, I really feel called to record a new podcast episode about how I landed a number one spot in the iTunes top 100 multiple times. Yes, you heard it right. I have landed a number one spot in the iTunes top 100 multiple times in 2018, actually. Actually, I have multiple shows that reached a one number spot. I had my own podcast show, which was called the Sophie's Choice Podcast Show. This is actually this podcast show. But then last year I rebranded it into the Chosen One podcast show. And then I had another podcast show here in the Netherlands, which was called The Lab of Attraction, which was a very fun podcast show I hosted with a friend of mine, Lou Niestad, which was all about fun law of attraction experiment that you can also do with your children. So it was so much fun. And that particular show also landed on the number one spot in the iTunes top 100. So in 2019, like, my name was all over the charts. Like, every episode was on. Okay, got a little distracted there. A phone call came through. So where was I? I was at the fact that I had multiple shows and multiple episodes in the top 100. And I thought it would be so interesting to share like my number one tip, or maybe some multiple tips about how I managed to do that. So first and foremost, let me start off by saying this. It was never my intention when I started my podcast show to become a number one podcaster. That was never my intention. The way I started my podcast episode was actually, it was early 2017. So I think I landed that number one spot in 2017 actually already, because I got that spot, or was it 2018? I'm so bad at numbers. But I actually started, I think, in July, and within 3 or 4 months I reached that number one spot. So I think it was the end of 2017. Anyways, it was never my intention to become a number one podcaster, right? Back in that time, I sound very old, but podcasting wasn't really a thing yet, right? It wasn't as popular as it is right now. And I was just like leaving my business, my job as a psychologist for a big firm, and starting my own business. And I remember that asking for I got a gift for leaving the company, and I actually asked for money to start this podcast show. At the end, I didn't even need that money because it wasn't that complicated, and the program that I thought I needed for starting the podcast show wasn't even necessary. But it's a fun fact. Anyways, I started it back then, and I remember like hearing about podcasts, and I was like, oh, that sounds so easy. Let me just like record episodes about my journey from a psychologist with a lot of limiting beliefs to a successful entrepreneur. Let's just take people on the journey with me. And if we're talking about the number one tip, how you can land a number one spot in the iTunes top 100, that would be my tip. To start a podcast show because it freaking lights you up, okay? There is nothing I love more than podcasting. There's nothing I love more than putting on my mic and just sharing my journey, my insights, my revelations, my lessons, my failures. I love sharing it all. It feels like it is my own diary. And This means that sometimes I'll record like 5 or 6 episodes a week, and then sometimes I will just record one a week or maybe one a month, really depending on my energy. But most of the time there's a pretty good flow in the amount of episodes I record. So what I see around me is that a lot of people have turned their podcast show into a marketing tool. Well, let me tell you this. My podcast show is my most successful marketing tool. But it only turned out to be my best marketing tool because that was never my intention, okay? So really the reason why I sold so many high-priced programs in 2018 and 19 was because of my podcast show. I'm currently hosting the Selling Queen Frequency Journey. It's gonna get an even better upgrade and you're gonna love it. I'm launching it pretty soon. You're freaking gonna love it. But in that particular Selling Queen journey, I'm actually also providing a super valuable bonus about how to create a conversion offer as a manifesting generator. Okay, let me go into that a little bit deeper. What is a conversion offer? A conversion offer is an offer that sells itself. Yes, you heard me say it. It sells itself. Without any paid advertising, without any of that, a conversion offer just pays itself. And the way I came up with the idea of creating a bonus course around a conversion offer is because I look back at my career and I was like, how the hell did I manage to sell so many high-level ticket offers without doing any of the traditional marketing? What is the secret? And the secret turned out to be the conversion offer. Well, the conversion offer has a lot of elements, or not a lot. It has actually 3 elements, but one of them is the frequency. Of course, the frequency, our energy work is super important. But the second one is actually creating a very specific outline for your offer. Well, why am I talking about the conversion offer while we were speaking actually about the podcast show? Well, the reason why I'm talking about this is because I was able to create a conversion offer. I could literally sell anything through my podcast show. And the only thing I did was inform during the podcast. So I never sold in an initiating way, right? So selling, we a lot of the times confuse with initiating. Initiating, we do, as manifesting generators, we do not sell through initiating. We sell through first responding. This is how you create your conversion offer and create amazing podcast episodes. And then you shift to the informing, okay? But it's not like I start my podcast show or I start recording and be like, oh my God, let me inform about this so I can sell. No, informing and responding is just a natural thing that I do all the time. And because that makes my energy as a manifesting generator super radiant, I sell as a result of that, okay? So going back to my number one tip for a number one podcast show would be to always follow your joy. Do what lights you up, okay? So podcasting for me is a perfect tool because I have a very individual chart. I didn't know that up until now. I had a beautiful reading yesterday with an amazing human design reader. And she was like, the first thing she said was, I'm so amazed by how individual your chart is. It's like crazy individual. And what that actually means in my case is that what works for me very well, and that's actually what I've done in the first year, well, right away since I started my business, and this is why it took off so fast, is I just did my own thing. I never looked back. And I explained this in multiple episodes, right? Like my job is just to go. And you can either like hop on a train and come with me or not, right? I'm not gonna like stay still and ask you if you please want to join the train. No, that's really up to you if you want to join the train. I'm just gonna go. And whenever I do like stop the train and like adjust my energy to other people, I actually lose, my energy actually gets less attractive. So for me, the reason why podcasting is so good is because I have a very individual charge, right? I do not care about likes. I literally do not care. It distracts me. I don't care about likes. I don't care about comments. I don't really even care about what you guys think about the podcast show. I'm doing this primarily for me. And because I'm doing it primarily for me, it lights me so freaking up that it makes my energy field so freaking radiant that I allow and attract in new clients. Okay, so this is really the secret of the way I do marketing. The marketing tool that I use as a manifesting generator is always doing what lights me up. So for the podcast show, that's how it started. I was just like, I'm going to do something that lights me up. I'm going to take people on a journey with me. And that is why it blew up so fast. And this is why I landed that number one spot, because I followed the joy. Okay. And I never, ever, ever allowed myself to turn my podcast into a conditioned marketing tool. And this is very important because for me, my podcast is freaking sacred. So I never, never, never allow other people's energy to infuse the way I run my podcast show. I know that the way I run my podcast show is very successful, and I never change that up. I do webinars sometimes. I do Instagram sometimes whenever I feel drawn to it, but I never allow those things to interfere with my podcast. Those are two different things. My podcast show is my way of giving back to the world. And in essence, I even said this before to like my higher paying clients. Like, I do not have like millions of clients, paying clients, right? I have a relative small amount of people who become a client, but because I charge higher prices, that actually allows me to give back to the world in such a big way, because as long as I'm taken care of financially, I'm good, you know. I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, it has to be more and more and more. No, I just want to be provided for. And if I'm provided for, I will just give as much as I can back to the world. And not everybody is meant to work with me one-on-one. And not everybody is meant to buy my products, okay? So I love giving so much value in my podcast episodes and through my masterclasses and sometimes through my paid webinars. I told you guys before, like, Facebook ads is for me also a way of giving back to the world, because I literally spend my money, there's no my money, everything is like always circling around, right? But I spend money that I happen to have at that moment on Facebook ads, so I can reach new manifesting generator clients who then can actually be inspired by me to then really become unapologetic in their energy and share their light and amazing gift with the world, because that's what lights me up, right? That's why I do what I do. I want to inspire other MGs with the way I run my business. And I've told you guys before, the only way I can do that is by living a fucking amazing life and run a very amazing business on my terms. So this is actually the thing that I have to be aware of all the time. Am I still living according to my own rules? Okay. So the podcast also helps me with that, right? Because I can sense it when I'm not living my life, when I'm not living my design. I can sense it when I start recording. So it's a very helpful tool for me as well to stay in that alignment. So the second tip is actually to not overthink and to not make it perfect. I remember, like yesterday, I had a coaching call with one of my one-on-one clients. She's a manifesting generator as well. She's currently starting her first episode, and we were talking about like not making it perfect. And I shared with her my first ever episode. I recorded it. I can't record it here with you guys because it's in Dutch, so you won't understand it. But this is like my episode that has been downloaded the most. Everybody freaking lost that episode because it's like it's unapologetic, right? I remember I did 2 separate takes, and then at the third take I was like, okay, whatever comes out, I'm gonna share. I don't care what comes out, I'm gonna share this first episode. And from now on, I will only do 1 taker. So that became my commitment, right? If I do a podcast, if I do a masterclass, if I record videos, I never allow myself more than 1 take. 1 take, and that's it. And actually, that is another secret why I've been able to record over 400 episodes over the last couple of years. Because I don't allow myself to get stuck in perfectionism, okay? I don't allow myself to overthink. I record and I share. And I'm just going to keep on going. I'm not overthinking it. I'm not thinking after I created it like, oh, how can I use this in a very smart marketing way? No, I post it. I write a little text with it, or in the past I have my team listen to it and write a summary. Sometimes I feel drawn to that as well, and then just share it. The only reason why I think that is beneficial is because you get better search results in Google, and that allows more people to find you, right? So that's the only reason why it is somehow beneficial to make a summary. But if that drains your energy, I would so not recommend it. Or you hire somebody to do that. And if that feels aligned to you, then of course, then it's perfect. But if it doesn't, don't worry about it. It's not that important, okay? So my second tip is don't get stuck in perfectionism. And then the third tip is a very practical tip, because everybody wants to know, what kind of mic do you use? And believe me, I've tried it all. I've bought very, very expensive mics for recording my podcast episode. But guys, I am a manifesting generator. I cannot sit down at a desk and record an episode on command. That is not how I work. The way I work is by walking around in nature, sitting in my car, being somewhere, getting the inspired action, and be like, okay, heck, now I have to record. So I've tried everything. I've tried also mics for my iPhone, and literally the best sound results I get is when I just put on the recording app. So I have an app which is called Voice Recorder. I love that app. It's actually with a picture of an old tape recorder, which is very fun. You can find it in the iTunes store. I think it's $1.99 a month. It's like very cheap. And I just literally put that on and I talk into my microphone. I've tried it before with a headset. Don't do that. It like really gives a lot of like distracting sounds. So speaking into the microphone, the direct microphone of my iPhone, is the best sound I have created or recorded over the past couple of years. Of course, you hear like background noises, and sometimes you hear the wind when I walk outside. But that is part of who I am, right? I am not I'm not a studio podcaster. I'm an outside podcaster. I'm a on-the-go kind of podcaster. So my third tip is to not overcomplicate it and to just pick up the freaking phone and record whatever it is that you want to record, okay? So the tip that I want to connect to this one is the tip that I give to all of my one-on-one clients who want to start a podcast episode, and that is to just pretend that you're talking to a friend. When I speak to my podcast audience, I'm talking to my best friends, right? I mean, you guys are all manifesting generators, or at least most of you. I freaking love your energy. You give me so much energy, even though I can't see you, I can't hear you. I love that about the podcast show because it allows me to tune into your purest energy, not the energy that you're showing me on 3D level. I'm actually able to tune into your source energy, and it just allows me to create the most beautiful content, right? So if you're a manifesting generator, I believe that these tips are super, super helpful. I don't necessarily believe that these tips are super helpful for example, a projector, or it might be suitable for them as well. I don't know. I don't know enough about those profiles to make specific tips, right? I'm really designed here for the manifesting generators. It's so funny. I just went to the shop here in our town to get a sandwich, and the wife of the owner of the shop was there, and we started talking about the schools, and she bringing her child to a new school, and she was talking, oh, I don't really like the Dutch school system, it's all the same. I'm like, oh yeah, interesting, because I'm actually working on starting a new school based on human design. And she was like, oh my god, what is human design? So I was explaining there are different types of human design, and I'm looking at her and I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're a manifesting generator as well. She's like, how can you tell? I'm like, I don't know, I can just spot a manifesting generator in a room always. There's like a energy frequency that is just so familiar for me. I can just spot it right away. And I really believe that I'm put on this freaking earth to inspire as much manifesting generators out there. Most of them entrepreneurs, because I don't know, I just vibe with entrepreneurs. I think a lot of manifesting generators are entrepreneurs because we are so multi-passionate and we have so much desires. I think we just thrive very well as entrepreneurs. So that being said, I think that's enough for today. I think I covered 3 tips. So the one was, let me go back to the first. Oh yeah, just do whatever lights you up. Share whatever lights you up. Don't make it too stagnated. Don't overthink it. Don't make it into a marketing tool. Just do whatever lights you up. And then the second one, I don't remember anymore. And then the third one is just to be very practical and to just put on your mic and pretend like you're talking to your best friend. And I'm telling you, I have to keep reminding you, we as manifesting generators, we sell, we attract, we manifest by doing what we love. When we do things that we love, when we do things that we can actually feel in our sacral, that's when our energy field gets so freaking radiant, and that is the energy that attracts in all the freaking miracles. So your only job is to do whatever lights you up and to decondition yourself from all the BS you have been told, because believe me, there is not a fixed way to run a business, especially not as a manifesting generator. The more you just allow yourself to be who you are, the more successful you will be. And of course you can use proven strategies and incorporate that in your business, but always like secondary. Your energy comes first, and then you look at the proven strategies and you investigate, how can I incorporate that in my business in a way that lights me up? Okay, so excited about this. So excited to take you on the journey with me around the Selling Queen frequency, what I'm going to do with that, because I have a feeling it's going to be so freaking cool. And just excited about this journey and excited about this, the fact that I have this tool to connect to you guys. So I hope this was so helpful. And don't forget to save the podcast show if you haven't yet. Sometimes I have that, right? When I come across an amazing podcast show and then I forget to save it, and then I'm like, where the heck, where is that podcast show? And then I can't find it anymore, and I get so discouraged. I'm like, where the heck is that podcast show? I can't seem to find the function that you can look at, like, I don't think there is in iTunes, that you can actually see your previously listened to episodes. So you really have to save it. At least that's my conclusion. I'm not sure if it's true, but anyways, that's my tip. Save the freaking podcast episode, so you always can find it back, and of course get the updates about whenever I share a new episode. Okay guys, love you, and we'll talk soon.